Hey everyone, welcome back.
Yeah.
Ever just stand in front of the fridge like, come on, there's got to be something good for my brain in here? We're going to unpack some fascinating research today on food and brain health that might have you rethinking your shopping list. We're diving into two recent articles, one from Prevention on how to fuel your brain, and another from Health Start, with some honestly kind of surprising findings on common drinks and stroke risk. So get ready, because we're about to answer the age-old question, can what you eat really make you smarter?
Well, let's get into it.
Okay, so first up, you know that whole gut feeling thing?
Yeah.
Turns out it might be more than just an expression.
It really is more than an expression. That Prevention article goes deep into this whole gut-brain connection, and it explains how all those trillions of bacteria in our gut, the microbiome, they're actually communicating with our brains.
So my gut's like got its own little hotline to my brain, sending messages back and forth.
Exactly. And get this, these messages can impact everything from your mood to how sharp your brain's working. For example, did you know that most of the receptors for serotonin, that feel-good chemical that's also super important for learning and memory, they're actually located in your gut?
Wait, seriously? Most of them? I had no idea. So if my gut's kind of out of whack, it could actually mess with my mood, or even my brain power.
That's exactly what the research is pointing to. And it makes sense when you consider that inflammation in the gut has been linked to problems with, thinking clearly and even some mood disorders. It's not just about an upset stomach here, it's about how our gut health can really impact our brains.
Okay, well that's a good reminder to be nice to my gut. But speaking of things we consume, let's talk about the fun stuff, food. The article mentions these brain-boosting foods. Is that legit or just hype?
There's definitely real science behind it. They really hammer home the point that whole, unprocessed foods are the real MVPs here. Think like vibrant fruits and vegetables, those grab-and-go nuts and seeds, and then legumes, beans and lentils. These are packed with vitamins, minerals, antioxidants that our brains need.
So basically more of the good stuff, less of the processed stuff.
Pretty much.
Simple enough, right? But are there any all-star foods that stand out?
Absolutely. They highlighted leafy greens like spinach, kale. Those are nutritional powerhouses. Then there's the colorful berries packed with antioxidants, and we can't forget about walnuts.
Okay, walnuts.
Right. They're like little brains for a reason, packed with those omega-3s. Those are super important for brain health.
Hold on, omega-3 fatty acids. For those of us who didn't take a nutrition class, can you give us a little refresher?
Of course. Omega-3s are a healthy type of fat that our bodies can't produce on their own, again, through our diet. They're found in fatty fish. The article mentions salmon as like a top brain food, and olive oil too, which is a staple in the Mediterranean diet that's been linked to better brain function.
Olive oil, salmon. Okay, this is starting to sound like a pretty delicious path to a healthier brain. But what about those times when you need more than just like a handful of walnuts? What about overall eating patterns?
So the article dives into two specific diets that are getting a lot of attention: the Mediterranean diet and the MIND-D diet.
I've heard of the Mediterranean diet, but the MIND diet, that sounds kind of intense.
The MIND diet stands for Mediterranean-Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay.
Catchy.
Right. But it's really just about simple shifts to include more brain-healthy foods. It borrows the best from the Mediterranean diet and the DAH diet, which is known for lowering blood pressure.
So it's like a greatest hits album of brain-healthy foods? Okay, I'm into it. What kind of results are we talking about here?
Well, they highlight a study where people who followed the MIND diet really closely had a 53% lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease.
53%? Whoa.
Compared to those who didn't follow the diet as closely. That's huge.
That is huge. It's what I call food for thought. It really makes you realize we've got a lot more power over our health than we think just by making a few changes to our plates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not about deprivation or complicated rules. It's just about sustainable choices that are good for our brains and bodies long term.
Okay, so we've covered the good stuff, all those delicious brain-boosting foods. But let's be real, not all foods are created equal, right?
Yes.
There's got to be a flip side to this.
There is. And the article calls out one major culprit that can really sabotage brain health: added sugar.
Oh no, sugar. It's always something, isn't it? But seriously, what's so bad about sugar when it comes to our brains, besides the whole sugar rush and crash thing?
Right. Well, studies are showing that consistently eating a lot of added sugar can really negatively impact brain function, especially memory and decision-making. In fact, there was a study mentioned in the article.
Wait, before we get to that study, you said added sugar, so we're not talking about like the natural sugar in fruit, right?
Yeah. Good point. It's important to make that distinction. See, the sugar in whole fruit that's packaged with fiber, which slows down how fast your body absorbs it. Added sugars, those are the ones found in processed foods, sugary drinks, even some sauces, condiments. Those are the ones that spike your blood sugar and can lead to those energy crashes and brain fog we all know too well.
Okay, that makes sense. So those studies on sugar in the brain, what did they find?
Well, they mentioned research on rats, and it found that a diet high in added sugar led to more inflammation in the areas of the brain that are key for memory.
So not only does sugar make us crave more sugar, but it also messes with the part of our brains that helps us remember stuff. That's a double whammy I can do without.
Right, and it gets even more interesting. Remember that second article we talked about, the one from Health Start, about surprising drink choices and stroke risk?
Oh, right, the one with all the crazy findings. I'm still bracing myself for that one. Lay it on me. What'd they discover?
One of the things they looked at was the link between certain drinks and, your risk of having a stroke. Some of the findings are pretty surprising. Like, they found that frequently having sugary drinks, even the artificially sweetened diet ones, was connected to a higher risk.
Hold up, even diet sodas? I thought those were supposed to be the healthier option.
You'd think so, but this study suggests that, even if they don't have the sugar, they might not be doing our brains any favors.
Huh.
And it wasn't just the fizzy drinks. They also found a connection between drinking a lot of fruit juice, especially the kind that's made from concentrate, loaded with added sugar, and a higher risk of stroke.
Hold on, fruit juice. But fruit's supposed to be healthy. Are you telling me my morning glass of OJ is secretly trying to give me a stroke?
I know, right? It seems counterintuitive. The key is whole fruit, always the best choice. When fruit gets juiced, especially on a commercial scale, it often loses its fiber, and they add a ton of sugar, which kind of cancels out the good stuff you get from eating the actual fruit.
Okay, whole fruit good, fruit juice, not so much. Got it. What about my other morning beverage of choice? Coffee. What's the verdict? Good for the brain or not?
Coffee. The study did find that more than 4 cups a day was associated with a higher stroke risk. But don't panic. Moderate consumption, like less than 4 cups, wasn't linked to an increased risk in this particular study.
Okay, phew. I think I can stick to my 2 cups and not send my brain into a tailspin. But what about tea? I'm a big tea drinker. Tell me there's some good news in there for us tea lovers.
Get ready to celebrate tea enthusiasts. This study has some really positive things to say about tea, especially black and green tea.
Okay, I'm all ears. Give me the good news.
So their research suggests that regularly drinking black and green tea might actually be linked to a reduced risk of stroke. They saw a lower risk overall. And get this, drinking 3 to 4 cups of black tea daily was associated with an even bigger reduction in risk.
3 to 4 cups, you say? Music to my ears. I think I can handle that. But there's always a catch, right? What about adding milk to my tea? I hate to break it to my morning cup, but we might need to have a little chat.
Well, this is where it gets interesting. The study found that adding milk might actually reduce or even completely cancel out the good effects from those brain-healthy antioxidants we were just talking about.
Wait, are you serious? Are you telling me my morning milk tea is a lie? Okay, that's a lot to process.
I know. It's always a bummer when we find out something we love might not be as great for us as we thought. But hey, maybe this is the push some of us need to try something new. Ever tried tea with a splash of lemon or a sprig of mint?
That's a great idea. I am always down to experiment with new flavors. And honestly, after learning all this about how the things we choose to eat and drink really impact our brains, I don't know, I'm feeling pretty motivated to make some changes.
It's amazing how much power we have over our own health just by paying attention to what we put into our bodies. It really is empowering, right? We started this whole deep dive talking about that surprising connection between our gut and our brain, and how all those trillions of bacteria in there can actually impact our mood and our brain function, even our risk for some diseases.
It's wild. It's like our gut has its own little brain and we gotta keep both of them happy. We also dug into all those brain-boosting foods we should be loading up on, leafy greens, colorful berries, walnuts, all those are going on my grocery list this week. And those 2 diets we talked about, the Mediterranean and the Mindy diet, definitely doing some more research on those.
Those are both great starting points, for sure.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about those sneaky things that can sabotage our brain health, added sugar being a big one. We talked about how even stuff like fruit juice and diet soda, those might not be doing our brains any favors.
Yeah, good reminder to read those labels carefully and not just believe everything we see on TV. But hey, at least we found out that tea, especially the black and green kind, could be our secret weapon for protecting our brain. Even if it means saying a sad goodbye to my milk tea habit, I'm down to make that change.
It sounds like you're already thinking about how to put all this knowledge into practice, and that's what really matters. What we choose to eat and drink isn't just about our physical health. It's about nourishing our brains and feeling our best mentally.
You're absolutely right. It's all connected. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of food and brain health, I want to leave you with this. If what we eat can have such a big impact on our brains, what other parts of our lives are being shaped by our food choices? Could what we eat affect things like our creativity, how well we sleep, even our relationships with others? It's definitely something to think about. Until next time, happy eating and keep those brains buzzing.